Good morning. It's actually late morning, but as promised, we're going to do exhaust. And we spent the morning reconfiguring the shop and getting the car back up on the lift so we could actually do that work. And we got finished up with the interior, so we had kind of a part left over to clean up and part disaster area. So anyway, we're ready to go with exhaust. The first thing I'm going to do, these exhaust systems use a what would it be, male ball socket on the end of the pipe to seal it to the manifold. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got a little short piece of pipe in here, and since I've never done a whole lot of exhaust, I'm going to practice on a scrap piece of pipe before we go cut into the real expensive stuff. So here we go. Exhaust system day one. Okay. See if I can get that to bite. There we go. Boy, that ain't making much of a swedge on that pipe. No, it's got to be a dome like that to go in. I may have put the 2 1/4 in. This should be 2. That's the other hazard with these things. Now that I got it bite, I got to get it off the end. Alright, off camera, we did some experimenting and we finally were able to form what's called a male ball end, which is what these use. They use a male ball end and a receptacle, if you will, that's machined flat. And the machine flat seals against the machine flat on the exhaust manifold, and then the male ball goes against the receptacle here and produces another metal-to-metal surface seal. And these working extremely well. Even if they have a minor exhaust leak, they'll generally rust up pretty fast. So anyway, we finally experimented enough to get it. The trick apparently is you got to go in probably a little less depth than we were, and we're actually going to go an 1/8 inch less. There's a die that kind of presses it in to get the start, and it leaves a rather crisp edge about 1/8 of an inch in from the end of the pipe. There's also just kind of a taper or wedge die that we use to kind of flatten off this edge some, so it gives you a good surface for that. And with that, we actually got the results I'm looking for. So we are now going to practically throw that away because it won't do us any good anymore. But we can cut a piece of pipe and actually start bending something for once, rather than just mauling up the end of a piece of pipe, saw it off, throw it in a scrap metal bin, and starting over again.
Yay!
Yay! So first thing we need to do, we need to go cut somewhere around 32 to 34 inches of pipe.
I'll cut it at 34 because we can shorten it.
Right.
And you know what? I'll double check it.
You'll double check it? There's a measuring tape over there on the floor with it to do just that.
Oh, so there is, and that's even my measuring tape.
Now the other thing we got to remember is before we start bending all this mess, we got to remember to slip our collars over things. I've got a collar
Really,
up.
this is only about 30 inches long.
That's what I say, about 32 would be enough. One of those that's going to be a pain just because we'll zero it when we clamp down on it. Oh, first thing, well, yes, you can turn it on. One of the things we learned, you really want your dies fairly well greased. We were very diligent in cleaning these originally, so we didn't have a disaster on our hands. They were like picking up a wad of goo every time you touched them. Well, we're going to have to wipe some grease off stuff. Next thing we need to do, we need the long sweet dye in here. I'm going to cut the muffler length down some. I just have a multi-roller cutter. Will hopefully do this. I see my O-ring here is kind of lost 90% of its elasticity. This one, they did just a flare out and used somebody's donut. Not a bad donut, to be honest with you. It actually worked pretty good. It's got a bit of a sleeve on the inside of it. Maybe they pressed one in. I'll bet you the exhaust shop pressed a little bit of a sleeve in there. They didn't get it quite. Well, actually, they did get about what you need. The angles are about right. The distance we need to add in here is fairly significant. Because I put this on the end of the studs, and that put this back where it should have been. But match the other side. If I remember correctly, whoever made this tucked the other side up, and they had this to where it was barely above the floor on the passenger side. So we're going to have to bend up something like this, but we're going to have to go with a greater distance in here. We also lost the heat riser valve, which added a bunch of it too. So we have to make up for that, and for the fact that this was never made right. So their dies were a little, oh, I see what they did. Their die on a back-to-back bend like that put a bump right there. Yep.
This can only go two ways, really well or really bad.
Yep. So the revelation, though, or the thought in mind, is that that pipe's only going to fit one way in the car. And that is if I bend it in its entirety and then put it in. Because if I do, it's got to be a full 10-foot long stick to start, because the quick measurement says we need somewhere between 8 and 9 feet of a brand new stick of pipe. And so, being as long as it is, it's tough to even snake it in over the axle. We put it in over from the front and did get it in, although it was a bit of a fight. And we did the same over the back and out the back. And that was about an equal fight. So, we've been kind of thinking about this one. This one's going to take bending and then put it in. Because otherwise, there'll be a piece of pipe running off one direction or another. And there's no way I can test fit it one bend at a time. The best I'm going to be able to do is measure carefully and not bend this too much. So I'm actually thinking what we're going to have to do is set this and do each bend with the machine and measure the angle this thing reads and get our center to center distance, a bend card for this. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my center right there. I'm going to run this out. I'm even going to go get the square. Okay. There's a center line. And a retraction. All right. So, no, not yet. Not yet. We need to make a bend card for that. So, we probably ain't gonna bend a piece of pipe today, because we're gonna have to sit down,
Draw something up.
do some drafting.
Kind of wish I would have drafted class in school. But
Well, yeah.
born about 40 years too late for that.
Well, the other choice is we would have to probably have an exhaust place like Waldron's. Mandrill bend that, assuming that they have the bend card for it and the capability to do the conversion that it's required to do that. So it's a bit of fun.
Bad.
Well, here's the thing.
That wouldn't make this thing very profitable.
I get that, but to make anything else, I'd have to, or I guess in this case, I am the computer.
Yes. All right, Data, come on. What's wrong with you?
So the other choice we're going to run into is that we have to build this in such a way that maybe we section it here. Build it in two pieces.
Now, here's the other thing.
Cut a stick of pipe in half and bend it. Yeah? I'm listening.
Well, brain is processing,
Yeah.
but bleh. Alright, so old hangar was here.
Well, so here's one thing.
So here's another thing I'm wondering too, because what it looks like is it does is in between the truss rods and the torque tube, we have this fellow. What if we just...
No. Go over and show you what we're looking at. Truss rod he's talking about. Now, the 65.6s are really common for them coming down this way. They stay too low through here. And then when you put your friends in the back seat of the car and you go over a bump, this hits the pipe. The other one they're great for is they get too much length on it out the back over here and they hit the back side of the differential tunnel. So I've seen them where they put rub marks in here from having the pipe too far back. So what this pipe does is it kind of hugs the floor and it kicks in here and then it kind of kicks out and kicks up and over so that this has to get way up near spring bottoming to do any good. Then they kick back in and around the spring with a couple of bends to do that and drop down and around and out the back. You know, one thing we could do, we could put the factory pipe back in and kind of take our little bit of chalk and mark the floor straight up from where it goes so that we kind of have an idea.
No, actually, I wouldn't mind having that so I could take one more look at something.
Yeah. And I'm going to take that exhaust hanger bolt undone so we can actually mark up. Okay. We're going to leave you back here a little bit looking back. Why don't you snake? We're going to snake it from the front or snake it from the back? Oh, shoot. With that box in there, it might not make it. We haven't done any measurements based on that, so. Rotate me. There you go. Not so far, a little less. Oh, God, there's more dog legs in this thing. Okay, you got to go up as much as you can. There you go. Okay, I'm going to go in there, and then I'm going to put the bolt. Let her come down. Let her rotate and come down. Can you hold her there? One thing I was thinking we can do, I can do this. I can put a mark on the inboard side so we at least know where the pipe runs.
I'll start marking.
Well, I don't know if I can even mark everything.
No, try.
And that's going to be another problem. I got to go sharpen my chalk to be able to...
Oh, well, you have a giant file. Just use the undercoating of the car.
No. All right. We're back for another night of exhaust. I got Captain Mayhem out here to help hold things in place. I need you to go up inside here, because what I have to do, and I'm going to need you to just reach up here and push that up.
You said to push it up.
I didn't say, no, don't force it. Just push it up till it hits about a gentle spot. All right, hold right there. So that this pipe runs parallel with the frame, which will kick this back under here a ways like it's supposed to be. The problem is this bend here was too far in our position here this way, and I've been trying to compensate for it. I knew it was wrong last night. I tried to put in some extra bends. There's an extra whoop-de-doo in here to kick it down too.
Yeah, I know. I like that one. Christ, what the hell happened to this?
Well, here's the problem. Without an actual bend card to start from here's the deal. With that angle meter we have, which is more accurate than the one on the machine,
Yeah.
we can get the angles, but we need, if we had that card to tell us what the heck we're bending, we'd be okay. But the way we are, we're not wrapping around the spring and kicking out this way the way we're supposed to. All right. Take a little break and do some ciphering. We'll be back.